Something I'm really, really excited about to begin with is I have an offer. I'll be opening the doors for my one-on-one coaching services in 2024, and that is for life coaching, accountability, and mentoring. So this is for people who are looking for accountability with their goals in life, might be struggling with a lack of focus or clarity in daily life, or you are stuck and unsatisfied. You're looking to feel more confident and happy. Maybe you're embarrassed and uncomfortable with where you're currently at in life. Or you might be feeling alone, misunderstood, or you're struggling with speaking your truth and you're not receiving the validation or recognition you deserve. So how you can get in contact with me is just to send me a direct message, whether it's on Instagram or Facebook. If you DM me the word coaching, and there we can set up a call at a time that's good for both of us, where we can discuss your life, talk about what's going on, and seeing if coaching is for you. Just so you're aware as well, I've got 5 spots available, and that is because that's all I can really handle for this present moment. So I'm very, very excited to announce that. Looking forward to connecting with more beautiful souls. That's honestly one of my favorite things to do in the world, is to hold space for people and to experience growth. Hello, welcome back to Mark Mack Being Me, podcast episode 24, Being Me. My favorite. I feel, to begin with, this podcast will be best suited if you allow yourself to be in a quiet place, to sit down, if you feel, and just to watch this podcast, as opposed to multitasking, cleaning, working out, whatever. But also, who am I to tell you what to do? You do you, as I be me. Maybe you can revisit it if you do get that moment. But that's just what I feel, and that's what I do. That's what I share. So the purpose of this particular episode, Being Me, it came to me a couple of days ago to share, I guess, my morning ritual, like how I express myself, how I find my way in life, what works for me, because it's a dance and it's constantly evolving and changing, like life is ever evolving, changing, the growth and decay, the life and death of all of it. The circle of life. And being me, yes, I was actually inspired by Alex, who's in our community in the School of Freedom, a Facebook group. She inspired me to do this episode, Being Me, and how being me frees myself and allows others to free themselves, allows others to be their true, authentic self. So for me, what works for me right now is a morning routine. And it's interesting, I'm filming this at 2 o'clock in the morning, which is not usually when I get up. This moment, I was awake at 12:30, and I wasn't going to get back to sleep, and it generally happens around the full moon. So I'd say it's probably full moon time. In the past, I've fought it. I've tried to fight it. I've tried to wrestle with, no, I need to sleep. Full moon does seem to have a bit of a power, considering it does bring the tide in and out. So there's something happening with it, isn't there? The moon. And what I've come to realize in my experience is to go with the flow, not to swim against it. That's what works for me. And sometimes I'm going to wake up at the middle of the night and I'm just going to go into it. Going to go into my experience and just be with that. So this is what's happened now. And beginning with my morning ritual, I start with the breath, which is quite fitting because our life starts with the breath, doesn't it? The life in this human experience. when we come into this world. The breath is present first. And for my morning ritual, I start with a breath work. And what that looks like is 10-15 minute breathwork session with this legend called Sandy. And I found him on YouTube. And I think his YouTube name is Breathe with Sandy. So you'll find him. I do one particular breathwork video of his. I think it's called Kundalini. And how I found that was purely through witnessing the thoughts of I don't need to do breath work. When I was the awakened one, when I was an awakening coach, going through an awakening program, a lot of the programming from my mentor was like, this is the way, you got to do this, and all the other stuff is irrelevant. Like, it's only just this way. And so I fell into that. And breathwork was something that was like, yeah, you don't need it. You just need to witness thoughts. Until I witnessed that thought. And then I found breathwork. And I was actually originally searching for those, I think they're called Awaken. Is it Lucas Mack? I was searching one of his videos because he was the only one that I really knew about breathwork through Aubrey Marcus, I think through a podcast of his. So I was searching for one of his videos, but then Breathe with Sandy came up. And for me, it's very much intuitive in the moment, like, yes. Okay, and then I find myself doing this breathwork session, which I'll get into in a second. And then that became a part of my morning ritual. So it wasn't like I was setting out in this destination of like, I need to get all these things sorted so I can go out and achieve my day. I need to, create this list of things to get me into the right energy. It was more like witnessing a thought of like, I don't need breath work, and seeing that. And then what happens, what shows up is what is meant for me. That's how I feel it happens for everyone. If you can tune into that intuition, and I really resonate with Sandy. That's why I listen to it. That's why I breathe with Sandy. And so this particular breathwork, I only do the one video. He's got lots and lots. He's got a lot of value. But I just do the same video on repeat every day. And the Kundalini breathwork, he talks about like spinal breathing. And so to begin with, it's like this. So you're moving like your spine, opening yourself up as you're breathing in and then breathing out, right? And so, he'll have a certain amount of breaths like that, and then he'll double the speed. So, and then you'll do that a few times, and then you go into the breath of fire, which is through the nose, and it's like this. And you're just sitting still. There's no like moving your spine, opening up the energy. It's more just like sitting still and just smashing it out, breath of fire, and then coming back into the spinal breathing, double speed, and then at the end, a big deep breath in, and then hold it. And you have a breath hold. And I love the breath hold. Because I meet myself there in that moment. And for me, what I mean by that is it gets to a point of the breath hold where I really want to breathe. But if you've done breath work before and you do the breath hold and you allow yourself to witness that wanting of breath, and sit with that and allow that to take place. And you meet yourself there. It's a beautiful experience to have felt, to have embodied. And the way I describe it, what I do in that experience is that's when I hand it all over. So when I'm holding my breath, when I'm really desiring to breathe, I hand over everything. Like I hand over all my worries, my limiting beliefs, my guilt, any sadness. And also I hand over my love and happiness and all that I am. And I hand it over to God. I say, here it is. This is me. It's yours. I am yours. I am you. And then that first breath, when that first breath comes back in, when Sandy says breathe, it's met with love, man. You can feel that first breath. It's a beautiful experience when you hold your breath for a certain amount of time. And that impulse of breathing, of I really need to breathe. And just witnessing that, meeting that there and holding space for that. And just see if you can last a little bit longer than what your mind is telling you that you need. And it just makes you appreciate the fact that you can breathe. Makes you appreciate your breath. The thing that we take for granted every day gives us life. So that's how I start my day. Morning routine, morning ritual with the breath. And there's 3 lots of that. And then I move into the kitchen. And how I'm moving now into the kitchen, I have altered my ritual a little bit. I used to make like a healthy juice for my wife and I. However, it's fucking early when I get up in the morning, and I'm in the garage with the juicer on, and it's waking up my wife, and she's very sensitive to noise. She's very tuned in. It's too loud. It's waking her up, and she's angry. And sometimes the dragon comes out, even though we're in the year of the dragon, 2024. I was born in the year of the dragon. Sometimes the dragon comes out in my life. And that's a beautiful reminder of me to think about other people, not just myself, that could be sleeping at 3 o'clock in the morning, like every other normal person. So it's a beautiful reminder. So I don't do the juicing now in the morning. I tend to do it in the evening, put it in the fridge, and you can have it first thing in the morning. But what I do now is, what I have done for a little while now, is have a cacao in the morning. And it's shifted a little bit, my awareness around cacao, my intention. And that's been because of a beautiful conversation with an incredible soul called Murphy. And that happened last Saturday. And she is a cacao ceremony specialist, as well as being an amazing human being. She has her own brand called AIO, and I'm probably pronouncing that wrong, and I can't really see because my eyes are getting blinded by the light. But it says hand-cut ceremonial cacao, and this is cacao butter, by the way. So I purchased this from Murphy on Saturday, and I just want to wind it back a little bit, a backstory, because it's pretty cool, I reckon. About 4 or 5 days ago, I was feeling really overwhelmed. And how I know that this is happening, why this has happened for me, because I'm exposing myself to far too much information, I am looking at all these different coaches and working out, how can I be the best coach that I can be? Because, I've started my own one-on-one coaching and I want to serve. I want to do the best that I can, but I can fall into the habit of going deep into the information of all these different people, and so many inputs are turned on. I'm just in the resistance of fucking everything and feeling overwhelmed. And it happened like 4 or 5 nights ago where I said to myself, in the evening, like, I can't handle this anymore. Like, God, help me now. What do I need to do? Like, how can I serve? I had no fucking idea about all that niche, all that jazz, all of it. Just help me. And that's a surrender. The very next day, I was working as an electrician, Friday morning, I think it was. And I didn't have any inputs in the morning. So I wasn't listening to podcasts, audiobooks, coaching calls. I didn't have the AirPod headphones that day. And that's when the insight came to me. What I say from God, you could say whatever you want. You could say intuition, high power, high consciousness, the universe. And it was like this, do this. I'm like, okay, I'm listening, I'm here. It's funny that, like, ask for it. Ask and you shall receive. And give space. Allow that space for yourself to receive. Right? So I did ask for how I could serve. And then on Saturday I was having a chat to Murphy. And she's getting ready for something. And she said, hey, can you, if you want to, you can look after these 2 books for me. One of them is called Nurturing Resilience, helping clients move forward from developmental trauma, an integrative somatic approach. And then there's this other book, Holotrophic Breathwork, Stanislav Grof. Yes, I can look after those books, and yes, I will. Read them, embody them, and allow them to help me be the best coach that I can be. And the guidance is happening in every single moment. It's always here. It's just behind the noise. If you can give yourself the time and the space to let it come, to not rush. This is a tough one for me. I love getting shit done, I want to know every answer now. But if you can choose, because there is magic, you just have to choose, and then you have to trust and surrender to life unfolding now. You have that choice. I'm not telling you have to do all these things. I'm just saying this is my life experience. And this is what I love, and it comes back to ritual and devotion. And I'm very grateful for Murphy. And I'm very grateful for a lot of beautiful souls in my life. So the cacao is sacred. And another thing that Murphy pointed me to, which I now do, is to actually speak to the cup and invite the spirit of the plant to come out. And so I do that. I pour the cacao into my cup and I speak to the spirit, to the grandmother, and I actually say, like, thank you for your guidance, thank you for your wisdom, thank you for showing up for me, thank you. And then I pour the water, the hot water, boil it, and then mix the cacao butter. And that is all. I do not use milk or cream, like I learned that lesson from Murphy. I have cacao butter and I have cacao, and it's sacred, man. And I love it. And I feel like it's starting to love me. And with that awareness of giving thanks before eating, drinking, cutting, preparing, blending, not just cacao, I'm now bringing it into fruits and vegetables. And Murphy was talking about this story about this woman who wrote a book. I've got to find out a little bit more information because that's quite vague. There's been a few of those. However, they were doing an experiment in a university, and they had this, I can't remember what machine it was, hooked up to these plants, and it's almost like a lie detector test, polygraph, I think it was. And when someone came into the room, these plants were acting as if like they were scared, like they were freaking out from this polygraph. And what they later found out was that was the gardener walking into the room, right? And the plants are freaking out because obviously the gardener's just cutting them up. So when you're just cutting up the vegetables and fruits, there's an energy that is existing within every single thing. Every single thing has energy. It's within us. And when you start to give thanks to your food, and not just like blessings on the blossoms, blessing on the fruits, after the fact, after you've prepared a meal, that is beautiful. However, these plants and fruits and vegetables are screaming. You can thank them before you cut them. And that's what I'm bringing into intention. And for me, it's reminding myself. So remembering sticky notes here and here and here and here. That helps, to begin with affirming. And I'll get into that because that's part of my morning ritual. But thank you, Murphy. I enjoy my cacao. And then I move on. And so I come into the office, I'm sitting exactly how I would for my morning ritual, right? So I've got the cacao, I come in like this, the yoga mat, I pull it out. I sit on this foam roller. Just makes it easier for me to sit upright, my legs crossed. That hurts, that took a bit of time to do, and it hasn't always been like this, and it will, it'll always constantly change. It used to be sitting down on a chair, closing my eyes, staring at a candle. This is for meditation purpose. Staring at my phone at a timer, staring at a spot in the wall, closing my eyes, opening my eyes, looking at a tree outside, being in nature, meditating. It always changes. Right now, this is it. And I light a candle and I put it on like this little, what are they called, buffets. And I have my little Buddha. And so he sits behind the candle. See if you can see the legend. Oh, my feet hurt, man. You see the Buddha? How happy does he look, eh? My feet really hurt. And so he sits there so I can be with him. And then I have this, which is sage. And I light the sage. And then I do like a little circle around me, and I set my intentions. Every morning I set my intention now before my meditation. And it's like setting up your energetic boundary, and for me it's of love. I have an intention and it shifts every day. It's whatever comes out. There's no right or wrong with this, because you are a creator and you're creating your life right now, your life experience. So I just have fun with it. But I enjoy it. It feels sacred. And I feel like what this is all doing, these little things, is slowing down the everyday moments and allowing you to be present through ritual. I feel like that's the deeper meaning behind all of this. Yeah, and again, I just love it. So that's what I do it. That's why I'm being me. This is me being me. And I love that. The next, what I do is I read one page from this book, The Radiance Sutras. This is recommended from a beautiful soul brother of mine, Cam Rosen. And what this is basically you have Sanskrit, ancient text, right? Before there was words, there were sounds, there was music, vibration, and Sanskrit is in deep resonance with my soul, with my heart, my being. So I highly recommend this book if you're looking to go deeper in your meditative experience. You want to explore something different. If you feel pulled, just check it out. And yeah, there's a Sanskrit sentence text, and then there's like a few paragraphs explaining. For instance, this particular one. I can't read it, man, because the light is so bright, and it's like burning a hole in my eyes. Let's see if I can read this. Seriously, that one word I can't read. It says, the roar of joy that set the world in motion is reverberating in your body and the space between all bodies. Beloved, listen. Find that exuberant vibration, rising new in every moment, humming in your secret places, resounding through the channels of delight. Know you are flooded by it always. Float with the sound. Melt with it into divine silence. The sacred power of space will carry you into the dancing radiant emptiness that is the source of all. The ocean of sound is inviting you into its spacious embrace, calling you home. And there's a Sanskrit that goes with that, but fuck. Sometimes, man, it just resonates straight away when you read the words. I'm not going to read the Sanskrit because I could barely read that. There's like a bright light that was following every single word. So I really got that out. So there's intention, there's sage, there's Sanskrit, and then I come into a meditative state. I observe the candle, be with Buddha, be with me and my cacao. Enjoy my cacao. Drink it out of a yellow cup. That's Einstein's favorite color, and it's fast becoming mine too. Yellow. And then I have also, in this present moment, there's 2 meditations that I'm listening to as well as silence, cacao, Buddha and God. There are 2 meditations. One of them in particular is from an incredible soul brother, again, Drew Diorsi. And that meditation is about rewiring your subconscious. and bringing in your future self and embodying them, and then moving with that energy throughout the day. So I think that's fucking powerful. I love that shit. And that's another part of being me, is I do a lot of work because I love it, really. Like I'm an explorer. I'm a trial and error sort of guy, and I love trying a lot of stuff and seeing what resonates, seeing what works for me, and continually being a student of life. So there's that. And then I also created a meditation, a powerful affirmation, which is going through limited beliefs, witnessing them, and then choosing the beliefs that you want to choose, reaffirming those. And so I have that affirmation. It's 4 minutes, and I listen to that 3 times a day. I've just created it yesterday, so that's the intention, to listen to that 3 times a day. So there's that, and then it comes back to stillness, and then I move, and movement varies as I hear Maya kicking off. Movement varies day to day. It could be work in the office, or it could be reading a book, taking notes, or it could be going to the gym. I like to work out, and the intention with that is my health is 3 times a week. Go to the gym, and there's a sauna there too. So I like that. Sauna and cold shower. And, I know my future self because I meet him every day. And so I bring my future self into this present moment. And that determines the decisions that I make on a moment-to-moment basis. Coming from my higher self, coming from source. And I'm human too, and I'm going to make mistakes, and sometimes you're going to eat a cookie, But I didn't do it on Monday. Didn't eat the cakes. So yeah, that's in a roundabout way, that's my ritual in the morning, and that grounds me, brings me back to myself, my center, and being me. It allows me to be me. And I feel like a lot of that stuff, like the whole limiting beliefs, working through with affirmations and stillness, meditation, witnessing thoughts, a lot of that has been the catalyst in me discovering who I truly am, and then expressing myself without fear of judgment, because we're human and that's natural, and it comes up for everyone, of course. It's cool to sit down and actually ask yourself, what are your limiting beliefs? Particularly around social environments and being your true self. Write them down, right? Because, they're hiding in the shadows, but they could be dictating your life experience. And when you write them down, you see them. And when you see them, you no longer have to be them. So I write it down. This is an exercise. I write them down, and then I write down what must I believe to be true for them to be, those limiting beliefs. And then from there I surrender to them, and I say, okay, I surrender to you. I'm not going to fight you, because I won't win in your game. And that's a life lesson, by the way, everybody. Surrender to what is. Surrender to what is happening now. Surrender to what is, because you can't fight life. You will just prolong the suffering that you generally are creating in your physical experience. And as you surrender, you can drop it. Let it go. It no longer serves you. You don't need to know why. You know, you don't. And you might never know why. And that's okay too. It's not up to you to know. It's up to you to grow. If you choose. Because life is choice, and that's what I'm realizing now. Definitely recently. So as you choose magic, you witness those limiting beliefs, you surrender to them. You say, okay, you win. And then from there, that's when you design, you create what you want, what you desire. You know, as long as it's not hurting anyone, coming from a beautiful place. And when you become still, that will become more clear. And it constantly really changes and evolves, like everything. But as you choose, then you reaffirm. See what happens. And that's my little 2024 nutshell wrap up of my morning ritual. And why I love it is the devotion, and I feel it's just bringing back that presence, that being present in each and every moment, and then I can transfer that into my day-to-day. And you know, sometimes you need reminding, you need to remember. It's cool to pause before entering the next moment. So I'm thinking right now of, like, you know, leaving work, coming home, before I get into the front door and see the girls. Actually taking that moment, there was a part of this beautiful book, Be Your Future Self Now, by Dr. Benjamin Hardy, and I shared it with Maddie Campbell, sent him a voice message about it because I was listening to the audiobook a couple of days ago, and Dr. Benjamin Hardy was talking about the research on being your future self, and he wanted to embody that in his life experience, and he has 6 kids. And he was driving back from work, and before he got in the front door, he sat down and, you know, he was thinking about it. He had the intention of embodying that, and so he relaxed into that. And what came to him was Viktor Frankl, who was a Holocaust survivor and author of Man's Search for Meaning. The Jewish psychiatrist went through, you know, probably one of the most craziest ordeals anyone could go through, the whole concentration camp, and he survived. And you know, he mentioned this experience of, like, imagining his future self, you know, 20 years in the future, coming back, right, and reliving that moment, and say, like, if you've already lived that moment and it wasn't the best version you could be, you know, you weren't present. Say for the kids, like, I wasn't there, I was on my phone, I was distracted, or whatever it was, right? So for me, I'm 35, so a 55-year-old version of me coming back, right? And if my 55-year-old version could relive this moment as I walk through the door and as I see my girls, how would he feel? What would he do? And you know, as Dr. Benjamin Hardy was talking about it, he lived that experience. And you know, he opened the garage door and out came his 3-year-old girl, and she's like, "Daddy, Daddy." And he said, "You want me to chase you, don't you?" And then he's chasing his 3-year-old daughter down the street, playing, being a human being, man, a dad, a fucking dad. And you know, then he snaps a selfie in that moment because he wants to remember this. And then he goes inside the house, and on the kitchen table there's all these books sprawled all over the place. There's toys everywhere, and normally when we're in our head, being the dad, we might be triggered of like, fuck, there's a mess. Why can't you clean it up? All these things. But because you're present to the realization that this is the only experience you're going to get with these kids in 20 years' time, they're not going to be in this house. They're going to be grown up. They're going to be living their own life experience. And you're going to be, well, are you going to be sitting there wishing that you had more moments where you were here, here, here. I'm pointing to this moment. Here, here, here. I feel it. Here. This moment. This. Because truly, deeply, that's all we ever need. That's all we ever want to be, is here. And sometimes we need to be reminded of that. So thank you for listening. Thank you for being you, and may you find this present moment now. May you embrace your true self, which is love, which is happiness, which is peace. There is no peace external of you that you're searching for. You are what you're searching for. And may you look for that, because whatever you look for, you'll find. Much love now.